and the voice was gone. Reality rested on his shoulders like the final curtain of a stage tragedy. The notes sifted slowly about in his mind, a procession of eyes passing across his mind's stage. The old man, the children, the gas, and the violin merging with the defeated, helpless notes of the flute on that long trail of more than tears, trail of extermination, and so many others, so many things that had festered in the back of Brant's mind, pressed aside as unimportant in his private overall view, now rising up to fill it. He felt a soft touch on his elbow, and at last he stopped. The ache in his heart shivered out and down his arm, and he opened his eyes, glancing at fingers so red and raw he wondered that he could move them at all. He turned, and he found that Sin stood at his left shoulder, eyes wide, staring down at him. "Brant?" she said softly. Brant met her gaze evenly, only half aware of the world he'd dropped back into so suddenly, trying to figure out what he would say to them, to figure out what they had seen and heard. The rest of the band stood in silence behind Sin, watching him. Shaver held his guitar in one hand, and the only emotion in his eyes now was that of pain, as if something had been stolen from him. "What was that, Brant? What the fuck was that?" Sin said, her voice never rising above a whisper. Brant rose slowly, the guitar neck gripped tightly in his one good hand. He turned to the audience, the hangers-on and the drifters. None spoke. The girls did not wander from table to table delivering shots of courage and charisma to the masses. No bottles or glasses clinked, and no voice rose in praise or in anger. Nothing. He presided over a silent church of pain, white-faced harlequin entertaining them with tragedies they could no more comprehend than he could deny. Brant placed the guitar in its case, took the case by the handle, and moved toward the bar without a word. Sin followed for a few steps, and Shaver looked ready to burst into tears. Brant wondered if the boy had heard the pain, or if he only wanted the notes. Brant stepped behind the bar and gripped a bottle of Johnny Walker in his bloody hand. The pain bit through his haze, and he managed to croak out some unintelligible promise of cash. Later. Then he walked toward the door and the night. Somehow he knew there would be no later for him here. He would have to move on. Things would have to change. Brant didn't feel like the center of it any longer. Just as he reached the door, Shaver caught him. The boy's hand gripped his shoulder a bit too tightly, and Brant turned to meet those intense eyes. Without waiting for any questions he would not be able to answer coherently, Brant spoke. "Be careful, Shaver. Be very careful. They can get mighty deep. Soul deep. You want to be careful you don't drown." And then he was walking, the moon watching over his progress. Deep in his heart, the music washed and eddied, swelling with each soft wave. He heard their voices, their music, and he hummed along softly. It ached, but he could wait for the moment. Soon, though, he thought, stopping in an alley and tipping back the Johnny Walker, soon he would have to play. In the shadows, the soft voice of a harmonica chased the discarded tarot image down the gutter, dancing the white-faced harlequin in the clutch of a cold breeze.
I don't care what the weatherman says when the weatherman says it's raining. You'll never hear me complaining. I'm certain the sun will shine.
I don't care how the weather vane points when the weather vane points too gloomy. It's gotta be sunny to me when your eyes look into mine.